Good morning. I am Sam McDonough, IFBB Bikini Pro, and I am here to recap the FIBO show that happened. Thank you for waiting. I'm also whispering because my boyfriend's asleep, and also I have to fast before I get blood work this morning. So I'm like have in my head that I'm a lower energy than usual, but you know what? Now that I hear my volume increase. Now that I hear it increase, I am getting more energized. Okay, everyone, let's talk about the FIBO show. So, Allison and Evie, it was a battle. Okay, you guys. I just like being dramatic. The scorecards didn't indicate that it was a battle, but to me, like, initially, it was a battle because Allison looks the best that she has ever looked, and she posted a bunch of her feedback, so I will be reading that to you. I screenshotted it. Okay, so first, let's talk about where do we begin? Sorry, now I'm like getting really excited. Okay, let's begin with the comparison photos. So I'm gonna go to the last page because that is where our top four is going to live. So, um, in our top four, fourth place was the girl who went pro at the FIBO amateur show earlier that day, the day before or something. I'll figure out her name. I have it. Oh God, what did I just do? Okay. So here is the top four. This is not quite centered, so it's not like, gonna be the best, but we're still gonna look at it. So, okay, I'm trying to zoom in. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Evie, when I saw the front pose, I was like, oh, it's gonna be tight between Evie and Allison. Like they both are looking like very hourglass in the front pose. Like they both have really great pop to their muscles, tapering into a tiny waist. The suit and hair and makeup all look really good. And then the back pose is where I was like, okay, Evie's probably got this. I did wonder at first if like Allison's little bit of detail, which we'll see better in the solo photos, I wonder if that would hurt her, but her feedback did not say that hurt her. That was just something that I worried about because Allison traditionally comes in pretty hard and gets knocked for it. So it was something I was worried about, but didn't seem to be an issue. So between these two, I think it's pretty even between them in the front pose. Like if I were at the judging table, I would like say it could go either way. I would probably seeing like the glow and the pop Evie has in her shoulders and her glutes here, I would probably, if I had to choose between the front pose, edge towards Evie, but we'll also look at the photos that are more straight on and I will have a better idea because these are not straight on, like I said. And then this girl, okay, then Lisa got third and then this girl got fourth. So where do I think the points like split between third and fourth? I think that Lisa has better balance in her front pose than this other girl. This other girl still needs to build her glutes a little bit. We need a little bit more of this upper outer glute here. You see it kind of goes flat. And we'll look at her solo photos and we'll get more into that. But that was just like my initial take. Like super full up top. This is great, but we need to match it at the bottom in terms of muscle density. Lisa has that balance, even though I think Lisa was like a touch harder than helped her. She still looks really good, and this conditioning almost reminds me of like Jazzy at the Olympia. I mean, we'll look at her solo pictures and see if I still believe that, but like when I'm trying to figure out in my head why someone placed the way they did, this is like this harder look makes me think a little bit more of like, oh, okay, well, when Jasmine was in the top three, she was a little bit harder than the other two. I don't know if that's a good comparison. I'm just like telling you what I'm thinking. This is the first time I'm looking at these comparison photos, so that's just the first thing I'm thinking. Okay, and let's look at their back pose. Okay, so when we look at their back pose, that is where I was like, okay, we probably have to give it to Evie, even though I think her suit cut is hurting her. And the reason I say that is because Allison looks like she's dropping off in these glutes here a little bit, and Evie has more of that 3D projection and roundness to her glutes. And that's something that I always say with like when we talk about top two versus like 3, 4, 5 in a show, it's usually, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, the amount of density somebody has in their glutes. Like, do they have that 3D full look from every single angle, look to their glutes? And then third and fourth usually are dropping off a little bit in the glutes, like usually on this upper outer part. I would say that Lisa had one like glutes compared to Allison here. She like has more of that 3D look than Allison does. And I think part of that, or I think the reason she got third is because she's harder in these hamstrings here. Like she's just harder all around, and Allison had better conditioning. That falls more in line with the criteria of the category. But yeah, so Lisa I would say was just a little bit hard. I think Lisa's suit cut is really good. We'll go more into people individually, but I get ahead of myself. And then this girl looks great, but needs to bring up her glutes more to match her shoulders. Her shoulders are like super full and super round, and now we just need the glutes to like come up in size in a way that like starts to even out with her upper body, because her upper body is overpowering her glutes a little bit, but her conditioning is spot on. Maybe a little bit tight in the hamstrings, but like her conditioning is really good, especially compared to the other people that placed top 3. And Tyler was judging the show, so we can give even more credibility to the judging, because Tyler obviously sets the standard. Well, he's one of the people. And then I'm excited for when Tyler does his recap of the show, because I assume he will. He's been doing that at any show that he judges. So yeah, I'm excited for him to do a recap if he does. Okay, and then what would I say in these comparisons? What else would I say? I would say Allison's hair is a little bit full and covering her physique a little bit too much here. She said in her feedback that she went with curlier hair because she usually comes in with a harder physique, and that it worked for her. That's something that I always talk about too, like when people wonder what kind of hairstyle they should do. I would, like, if you are someone who comes in harder, sometimes you want, like, a softer suit color, a softer hair look, like a more full hair look to minimize how hard your physique looks. And vice versa. If you're, like, a little bit softer, maybe a sleeker straight hairstyle will balance you out better and then give the better illusion of fitting the criteria. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking there. Let's go into people's individual photos. Okay. Here we are. What is this? Okay, that's Evie and Allison. Okay, so we'll pull up all of these people. So Lisa, Victoria, Luca. Yeah, we're just gonna do those 5, and then I will go into Elena because I talked about her. It was her pro debut. So, okay, Evie, the posing was toned down from usual. You know what? One sec. Okay, we have videos for these athletes. So, let's look at Evie's first. So, I was saying I don't love when she does the hand on the hip pose because it's not like, it doesn't give her the best hourglass shape. So, I don't love when she does that. Okay, and then she's going to walk forward, but her, like, sass, her little bit of spunk, like, it very much works for her. Hair, makeup, looks great. Very intentional with all her movements. It doesn't look out of place. The arm, I still think, is a little bit out too far, but you can see that her muscles look full. She has a lot of pop. The glow to the skin is really great. Doesn't do too much with the hair. Make sure it's off her shoulders. And how high this suit is coming up is revealing that part where her glute attaches to her low back. So I don't love that because it makes her glutes look a little bit shallow. So yeah. But really confident, commands your attention. Really good. Okay, so I just wanted to look at that. Okay, and then we look at her. Wow, I really need to eat, man. I'm losing it as I talk. Okay, so what do I think about this? I would take her hair off her shoulder because her shoulders are not overpowering. If anything, this is minimizing her shoulder and taking away from a little bit of balance, but it didn't hurt her at the show. Obviously, she won. And same things that I always want to change with her front pose. I want to bring the arm in closer. I mean, this pose, I guess, works for her, but I think it could be more streamlined, and maybe if we're more streamlined, that it would help her in bigger lineups like the Olympia, because she always qualifies for the Olympia. And this past year, she placed, like, on the scorecards, even though after 16th, everyone gets 16th, her, like, actual score was still like within the range of like where it wasn't just an even thing down the rest of the scorecard. So she did get actual 16th place. But I would love to see her higher up in the placings at the Olympia. And I think she has like fixed her pose a little bit. That would be helpful. But also there are probably, I don't know, I think other people probably have a little better hourglass shape than Evie when it comes to shows like the Olympia. But hair and makeup look really pretty, very glowy. Looks like her, but better. This I do find a little distracting. I want her to bring her strap down a little bit to kind of cover this like folding of the skin. And I think the reason she has her hand so high up on her waist, because usually I don't like it when it's when her hand is near the belly button. But I think it's because she has a longer torso. So when she has her hand here, it almost does cut her physique more in half. So maybe that's why she does it. I'd be curious to see what it looks like a little bit lower, but that's something that I noticed. And then I want her to have more coverage in these bottoms here. Because again, since she has a long torso, a lot of people who do like the V cut, like Jordan Brandon, Kiki, who we talked about at the Charlotte show over the weekend, they do that V cut, and I think maybe not as much Jordan, but like Kiki, she has a shorter torso, so getting it to elongate by having that V cut helps. And it's like strategic, but for Evie, I don't think it's like that helpful. Maybe this isn't even an actual V cut, it's just like a really low like scoop, but I would like to see more coverage here, and I think that would balance out her physique better. And then looking at her back pose, where's her back pose? Okay, looking at her back pose, I think she could straighten her arms a little bit. It's a little bit distracting when they're out like this, but the real thing for me is just this suit cut is not right. I want there to be like that heart shape here. It just goes straight across, almost rounds, it like rounds upward. And I want more coverage right here just to give her like a rounder shape to the glutes. She still won this show, of course, but I think it was because even though her glutes weren't showcased the best, they were still better than Allison's in terms of like the roundness she gets on this upper outer part of the glute. Everything else looks really good, but like this is just distracting and makes the glutes look flatter to me, and you don't want to like diminish how like full your glutes are. So that's what I would say there. Moving on to Allison, I loved this look. This was my favorite look yet. So I'll go over like what I think, and then I will read to you what she said her feedback was. So yeah, the definition, like the vascularity in the arm was a little bit distracting. One thing she said she did is she did all the things she had asked. Like she filled out more, having more water, more food. Usually she didn't used to eat on show day. But this time she did, and she had more water, so that was great. And yeah, she just looks very balanced, very full to me. The only thing I can even pick at is the little bit of vascularity, but a lot of people have that little bit of vascularity and still win shows. Jasmine, Jordan, both of them. So yeah, makeup is really pretty. Allison's makeup always looks really good. The hair, I think this is kind of close to her natural hair texture, which I really like. In her back pose, I think it could have been like more curled all throughout. Like there were some straight pieces, so we'll look at that. But the hair, I think it works. It's not like the traditional curl we see, but I think she still looks pretty. The suit color, I loved that she wore red. Red is what she wore when she placed 12th at the Olympia, which was her first Olympia. And yeah, just super balanced from top to bottom. You aren't seeing an overpowering glute in this front pose like we did last year, so that is absolutely an improvement. And then we look at the back pose. She has changed her foot placement. So she used to have her toes angled out more, which I have a picture of. But that was making her quads more overpowering, or making her quads overpower her glutes. So she has turned her toes in more straight on to the back curtain. I think that does maybe take away from her upper outer glute here, but that's the trade-off she had to make to get to like what Tyler said is the best look she's ever had. Tan looks great. This piece of hair is like what kind of distracted me, and these pieces right here. So if we could just be more uniform, then I think that would help her out. But yeah, I would like to see a more rounded suit cut here too. I think maybe if it covered like right here and then went into that V shape, then that would accentuate her glutes better. Would it have made her beat Evie? Probably not, but maybe. I'm not sure. I also think her tan and like glow looks better than Evie's in this back pose. And then Allison posted this photo, this little comparison, and saying like she changed everything, now just need a tad more upper outer glutes, and that's finally the right look. So here's her comparison. Yeah, last year you see her toes were angled way more out, which makes her like quads and like hamstrings look a lot harder. So I imagine she posed softer, and she just didn't come in as hard as usual. We don't see nearly as many lines in this show as we did at her last showing. And then this cut is more what I would like to see as far as like the V part of it. And maybe even like that part of it. So I don't know. I would like to see what a cut like that looks like on her now, but the V is certainly what I would like to see. But glutes are way fuller. Eating and drinking water helped her out. Her hair is shorter in the back, so it's not like covering her glutes like it was a little bit heavier here. It's not much shorter, but it's not as heavy as what I meant to say. So yeah, great changes. I'm super excited for Allison. I'm really disappointed that she's not on the list for the One Bro Pro, which only has like 7 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, only has 7 people. And I'll go over that list later. I have to leave for blood work after this, so I'll go over that list like today or tomorrow at the latest. So yeah, and let's look at Allison's video. So last year, she was doing the most with her posing. Like she would, I'll show you when she would do stuff. But lands right in her front pose. She didn't smile, but she did smile more at this show than she has in the past, which is something that she was working on. And then in this pose last year, she would really crank into the glute and almost like sit into it, which caused folding under her glute. This is like a very streamlined, we're not seeing any folding, any exaggerated movements. And it's just super to the point. And then little transition and then saying goodbye. Perfect. Okay, let's read what she said her feedback was. She said, Tyler's feedback. Best Allison I have ever seen. Look with condition. Genetically, I know people have wide wide hip bones, so we noticed the improvements. However, you need a little bit more upper glutes on the back pose / back walk, but front pose was excellent. Glutes were not overpowering like they were before, and the pose was great. She also said, so this is like her studying the sport. She also said, I also decided to go for curly hair as it gives a softness and sweetness to my shape, and red is a less aggressive for the type of shape I have than I used to have. So I think what she means there, because her first language is French, she used to wear that darker purple suit, and when you're really hard and you have a dark color on, it can be like too harsh. We talked about that. The Hurricane Pro, remember I talked about a couple girls who were wearing like a really deep like serpentine teal, which I love a bitchy serpentine teal, but it was a little bit too much in comparison to like coupled with how hard their physiques were. And then she said she simplified her routine to show very simple movements and very soft without overcomplicating it, which shows more weak points, which she's so right. She didn't do like a walk to the back. She didn't do a bunch of extra transition poses. She didn't even do her front pose again at the end of her routine. She did it one time, face the back, and did like a little transition and waved. And then she said entrance, front, back, complete, turn and by. Doing big arm movements would have shown too much shoulders. Rolling hips too much would have shown a striation in my left glute. Walking to the back would have shown my hip dips too much. So basically my routine could not be much different than this. I could have enjoyed doing my usual posing style, but it's a shape contest, so if judges see something that's not bikini, I would have fun, but would not have made it to second. She says, just starting to be smart at this level, which love that. Let's see if we can find a video of her last season really quick, just so you can see the difference in how she was moving. This might take too long to scroll down. Oh, I'll pause. Okay, I have it. Love that I found the pause feature. So see how she's sitting so far back into that hip? And glute is a little overpowering to her upper body. A lot of fullness here. Not smiling. And then sits way far back, pushes her upper body way forward. Okay, that wasn't even a complete video. One sec. Okay, I think I found the rest. So she pushes really hard back into this glute, unlike she does now. And then that big sweep, causing a little bit of that folding. And then conditioning, just not as full, has more muscle this season, pushes back again, which is just throwing off her shape. Sits too far back, pushes her torso forwards, makes her look wider up top than on bottom, so that takes away from the hourglass shape. Threw in this stallion pose, which just shows more weak points. It's not even one of the poses that judges want to see in this division. So yeah, the exaggerated movements are just like showing a bunch of things that we don't want to see and things that take away from the like shape that you're trying to show in this division. So it like just goes against judging criteria. So I was thrilled to see her make some changes. Okay, let's go into third place. So Lisa Reith. So Lisa has competed at the Olympia multiple times. I think twice. I don't know. Let's see. Last year and then the year before. Okay, yeah. 2 years. So Lisa, I loved the green suit. Especially she usually does a red, which I think looks a little bit muddy against her tan. So if we look at like where she was wearing red last time, it just has like almost like a black stone to it too. So it just looks a little bit too muddy with the tan. Doesn't really pop and like accentuate her look. It takes away from her look. If anything, I think she's like working against what the suit looks like. Okay, so in her front pose, I think the ribs are throwing me off a little bit, so I would like her to like tuck those in, and you can do that. You can like control your breath so it like pulls those in and down. She is pushing pretty far back here with that arch in her back, which gives her a better hourglass shape. So I like that. And then I think she should bring her hand down so her shoulders are level. This one looks like it's drifting up a little bit. And with her hand being like this, it's also like leading me to see lines going that way, as opposed to like if she has just like that little like bend, which I would like to see, yeah, on her hip to balance out her physique better and make the pose look a little more natural and a little less forced. This looks like she's like trying really hard to pose, whereas Evie, even though there are some things I would change, looks like she's just standing there naturally. Even Allison too looked like she was just standing there. I think she's a little bit hard in this leg area, so Evie and Allison did not have any of that. They brought like the right conditioning where it's a little bit softer and everything is just like popping through the skin, whereas Lisa, it's just looking a little bit too hard. And I think maybe if she put on just a little bit more size so she doesn't have to get quite as like conditioned, then that would help her. Or if she could just come in really full, maybe she can come in that full right now, and it would like be spot on. And Lisa, she won't have a problem like qualifying for the Olympia. She hasn't had a problem in the past couple years. So, I'm sure she will get there, but I would like to see just a little bit more softness to her overall look. Her back pose, however, really good. I think she's a little tight in the hamstrings, but maybe that's how tight she needs to get to like get the pop that she has here. Because the conditioning looks really, really good. I would like her to bring the suit down a little bit and up in the front a little bit more so we get more coverage right here. But yeah, her glutes look a little bit flatter than Evie and Allison, so maybe if she filled out more, then that would solve the issue. Hair looks really good. Tan complexion looks really good. Yeah, I think just too hard. And we can look at her video too. So here is her video. I think we're doing a little bit too much with all of the hand movements. The walk is really good. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of graininess in this leg, which I'm finding a little bit distracting. Green looks really good. And then back pose, yeah, we see a lot of detail happening in these hamstrings when she's moving around. So yeah, just a little bit fuller. Same thing here, a little bit too hard. Okay, and then going into fifth place, we have Luca. So you know I love Luca. I would love to see her put on a little bit more size. So I think she could start like absolutely qualify for the Olympia, but she just needs a little bit more size. She looks pretty balanced in her front pose. Like if she brought her arm in more, then her shoulder wouldn't be as flexed, so it wouldn't like look like it's sticking so far out, which I do think is overpowering to her glutes. I'd like her to bring her arm down more and like just frame her glute and frame her hourglass shape here. But glutes look full. I think I mean, I was going to say fuller than usual, but maybe the same fullness as usual. I really want to see her bring that arm in. She's posing harder, maybe, so it looks like she has more muscle than she does, but I do think it's looking a little bit, like, distracting. Oh, she got 5th place, not 4th place. Okay, well, we'll talk about her. She got 5th place. Yeah, I think her pose is pretty good. She just needs to relax it a little bit. Also, I want more coverage up here. She could probably pull her suit bottoms up in the front, down in the back. because it just looks like it's going too low here and making her stomach look like it's like coming out a little bit, which I don't think it is, but it makes it look like it. Okay, and then looking at her back pose, we have, yeah, love her suit color. And her back pose just needs more glutes. Her hamstrings are looking pretty hard. She has to get this condition to see like this tie-in, but also it's taking away from the fullness of her hamstrings, and I want to see that fullness of the glutes flow into the fullness of the hamstrings. And you can see she kind of like flattens out right here, so I would like to see just more size on her glutes, and then I think she will be at the Olympia, but it's just a matter of taking the time off necessary to put on the size you need for being competed at the Olympia, or you know, making it to the Olympia. Okay, going into fourth place, what's her name? Oh, Victoria. So Victoria, pro debut, wow, amazing goals. So here is her front pose. The arm, same as Luca, just a little bit too far out, I think. I want to bring it in tighter. And don't flex this back shoulder as much. Her shoulders are already a little overpowering to her legs. What stands out to me as needing more development here is a little bit in the upper outer glute. It looks like it's flattening out right there. She's arching a lot to make it look like it's fuller, but she needs some more size there. And then her hamstrings and quads, her hamstrings look like they have a lot of size, but they also look like they're really, really tight. So I think she needs a little more size on her hamstrings and quads and glutes, just lower body all around. She could start with just, you know, her glutes and see if that's enough. Relax her posing a little bit. Actually, if she's relaxed her posing a little bit, then I think she could get away with just a little more size in her glutes. But if she relaxed her posing and it still looks like she needs more size in her legs, then she needs more size in her legs. And then hair and makeup, perfect. Stage presence, perfect. This girl is stunning. And then looking at her back pose, this is where I'm really thinking just needs some more time to put on size. Shoulders do look overpowering to the lower body. She has good density already, but she got really tight in order to see those glutes pop. Like you can see these like divots where her hamstrings are inserting into her like adductors and stuff. So yeah, more size in the hamstrings and more size in the glutes. That's what I would start with. And then I think she could qualify for the Olympia. She might even be able to this year. But I think those are the two things she will need long term to be more competitive and to balance out her physique, because the balance is what will make her competitive. It's not that like everyone needs this certain amount of size to be competitive, but more size will balance her out and then make her more competitive, like when she gets to an Olympia level, which it seems like, you know, she's very capable of doing. And then we look at her posing video. Love her confidence. It was giving a little bit of Laura Lee when she did that elaborate routine in 2023. I want her to bring her foot out here more to balance top to bottom more, because when the feet are close together like that, then it minimizes lower body compared to the upper body, especially when you pose as wide as she did. We also don't want to see her caressing her glutes. That is something that judges have explicitly said. And see, we just lose her glutes as she moves on the upper outer part. And now she's walking to the back and the glutes are sloping off. So that hurts her in this routine. And if she's going to walk to the back, she needs to walk in her back pose so she at least gets that fullness that she has when she's in her back pose as she's walking. And then I will look at her front pose again so I can say more about the feet. Yeah, so when your upper body is posed this wide, because she's posed from here to here. When you're posed that wide and then your feet come to this like close at the bottom, then it makes it look like you are more top heavy than I already like have suggested she is. So I would like her to kick her foot out right here so we have a gap between the heel and her toe. So yeah, foot landing right here I think would be a more balanced front pose. And then I said I would talk about Elementa. Yeah, okay, Elementa. So here she is. I thought she brought like a beautiful balanced look to this show, and I think it is just same thing as I said in my preview. I suspected maybe more hamstrings. It goes kind of flat here, and she plays ninth. So, and I think there were like 12 people. So yeah, I think she's someone to look out for in the future once she puts on a little more size, because look at how great this balance is in her back pose if she has a little bit more hamstring and a little bit more upper outer glute. And she could also pull her suit bottom down a little bit so we get more coverage right there so the glute doesn't look like triangular. But yeah, I really liked her look, so I wanted to mention her. And then I also wanted to mention, while we're here, let's look at the, oh, not FIBO. Look at this girl who just went pro at, was it this? And maybe she didn't even go pro. Yeah, okay, she didn't go pro. She was just an overall winner. Look at this girl. Look at her balance. Look at her conditioning. Yeah, I just really, really liked her look. Especially look at her. Oh, yeah, here's her back pose. Look at how full her back pose looks and balanced. That is a perfect amount of suit coverage for her. It doesn't expose like where the glute attaches to the low back. The fullness in her rear delts matches her lower body. Super full muscle bellies in her hamstrings. Like, this is a really, really good look. And it looks like this was her first show ever. So congratulations to Victoria, huh? I'm not sure how you say it, but congratulations to her. So I wanted to mention her. Okay, I will do previews for other shows later today or tomorrow. And thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I feel like I rambled more in this video. So yeah, let me know if you took anything valuable from this. Okay, have a good day. Thanks, guys.